Good morning and welcome back for part 10 of Messages from Orot HaTeshuva. We're learning to the Refuah Shalema of Shimona Bas Daniela. Rav Kook deals with the fact that when it comes to ethics, when it comes to Jewish values, you find good values and good ideals and good midos all over the world, not exclusively within the realm of Torah, but there are very fine people elsewhere. So what really is the difference between Musar of the Torah and Musar Chiloni, between Musar that comes from our Torah tradition and values and just laws that come from the rest of society? Because often you see someone will claim, well, this person's a Jew, but they're not acting in a very friendly way. But then you see someone else who's not Jewish, who doesn't have a Torah, and yet they're acting in a way that's befitting of an upstanding citizen, of a Ben Melech. So really the difference comes down, says Rav Kook, to something he writes in Musar HaKodesh in the first chapter. HaMusar Shochol Eno Amok, Ve'eno Nichnas Bepnimiyot HaNeshama. Musar that comes, ideals and values and virtues that come from the rest of the world, they're good. They're actually loosely based on Torah values, but they're not deep. They don't penetrate to the level of the neshama, of the soul. That even though a person will listen to this law and say, well, that's the way a mensch behaves, that's the way a good person, a Baal Chesed, a kind person behaves, and it will inspire us to do the right thing from time to time, for sure. These midos, these virtues, these traits that the world espouses that don't come from the Torah per se, they don't last the winds of change, and they don't stand up against desire that is very strong. So someone can say, I believe that you should treat a person, that you should treat another human being a certain way, but when the doors are closed, when no one's looking, they may not uphold those values. We have a principle that anything that is prohibited for Marat Ayin, because it looks bad, it looks unseemly, it looks ungodly, it's us, or it's prohibited even the Chadrei Chadarim. And this explains the difference between a halachic system and a moral system. It's true our halacha does support the good morals, but it's beyond that. So Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchever was once walking in the streets, and it was on Erev Pesach, and he finds a very nice fellow, a very nice non-Jewish man, and he says to him, he's a salesman in the marketplace, and he says, do you happen to have any of the contraband, any of the materials that the government does not allow you to sell? Let's say it was a Cuban cigar or something like that. And he quietly whispered, and he opened up his jacket, and he looks inside, and he pulls out, sure, I have this is available, but it's prohibited from the government, so we have to sell it quietly. And he said then he went over to one of the homes of the Jewish people, and it was after Chatzot on Erev Pesach, and he said, do you happen to have any chametz? The Jew lost it. He said, what do you mean chametz, Erev Pesach? He said, but God doesn't see, it's quiet, it's over here. What are you talking about? The king's not going to know. He went to another Jewish home. Do you have any chametz? Not a single Jew on Erev Pesach has the contraband available. So what's the difference? The difference is that Jewish ethics penetrate deep down inside, such that you wouldn't even want to violate the rule when no one's watching, because it's part of who you are as a person. When ethics come from the world, it only matters what someone else thinks. It only matters, can it be tweeted, can it be shown to the world? Remember that everybody, the whole world, even presidents who held of the law that it was illegal to have materials from Cuba, would have Cuban cigars, because it didn't really matter as long as no one was watching. That's what made it moral or immoral. It's when it made a scene. So you could have a Hollywood actor who takes a stance on a very important issue of the day, whatever the issue is, but quietly in their own life, they're not going to uphold that standard. They can tell you that using certain fossil fuels is unethical, that we're depleting the world's resources, that we're polluting the environment, that we're causing global warming. But privately, when no one's watching, they'll fly around on their private jet. Doesn't matter. Because as long as nobody's watching, the ethics stand. That's not the way Jewish ethics are. Jewish ethics penetrate deep down inside. Jewish ethics get to the heart of who I am as a person, not the rules I follow in the society and the image I want to uphold to the outside society. Rav Kook's seminal essay, Bakashat Ha'ani Ha'atzmi, which is in Perek Tet Vav, is as well as touched upon in Perek Yud in Orot HaTeshuva, talks about the search of man for his own inner identity. I'm looking for the ani. And because there are so many voices in the world, because there are so many voices that tell you that this is how a good person behaves and this is how a person doesn't behave, ultimately within time, because of the multitude of values that we're exposed to that are inundating in small sides, we lose our own identity of what are Jewish ethics, for Jewish values, not just good values that society supports and endorses. And when we hear all the multitude of voices, right, all of a sudden we lose the sense of the ani. Sichim dea gamhem mina ani umosifim teven ala medura. Mashkim et atzmeim bechometz, mefatim et hamochot vet halavavot bechol mashu chutz mehem. We are fattening up the hearts with food that is not coming from the place of nourishment. It's coming from the outside world. V'ha'ani holech u'mishtakeach. And the Jew, the identity of the Jew is forgotten on the inside. We listen to Shemot Rabim, many names, and we forget our own name. We forget who we really are. And so part of restoring back to Tmimus, part of restoring ourselves back to where we should be, means for a minute shutting off the radio, shutting off the noise on the outside, the volume, to what the world is telling me an ethical person needs to be, and listening to the Torah, and understanding what an ethical person is. Surely we have values in the world that we have to uphold. Din de machusadina, if we're not allowed to run a red light because it's dangerous, or we're not allowed to run a red light because it's illegal, you can't violate the law. But what it means to be an ethical Jew in the heart of hearts, that comes from the Torah alone. And sometimes we have to learn to not listen to the values of the world in order to espouse the values of what it means to be a Torah Jew.